as we always start off, and that's by giving all praises, all glory, all honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, through his only begotten Son, Jesus the Christ.
Right.
Secondly, we're going to give double honors to our elders. They rule well. They're counted worthy of double honors. They get their double honors.
Facts, though.
Thirdly, lastly, I want to say to all of my brothers, all of my sisters out there, Shabbat Shalom, Happy Sabbath, greetings. My name is Priest Lithiel Ben Israel.
And likewise, my name is Priest Ron Ben Israel.
And we, as you know, we are with the holy nation of Israel, the straight gate of Israel. And we're back again with another lesson. But before we proceed any further, I want everybody out there, get your Bibles, with the Apocrypha included. Read along with us if you can. Also, get your notebooks, get your paper, get your pens, get your pencil. Take notes if it's in your spirit. Lord's willing, this will be an edifying addition to the series, A Brief History of the Kings. This is part 3. Now, in part 2, we ended off talking about Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Ahab, the king of Israel. And we're going to continue here in this part talking about Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel. But we're going to start off talking about Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah. So let's start off in 2 Kings 8 and verse 16.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 8, verse 16. And in the 5th year of Jehoram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel.
In the 5th year of Joram, which is Jehoram. Joram is short for Jehoram. But keep going.
Jehoshaphat being then king of Judah.
Read.
Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. 32 years old was he when he began to reign.
So Jehoram, or Joram, the son of Jehoshaphat, was 32 years old when he was crowned king. Read.
And he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem.
And he only ruled for 8 years in Jerusalem. Read.
And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel.
And he walked in the ways of the kings of Israel. Read.
As did the house of Ahab.
He walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, like the house of Ahab. Read.
For the daughter of Ahab was his wife.
For the daughter of Ahab was his wife. His wife's name was Athaliah. Athaliah was his wife, the daughter of Ahab. Keep going.
And he did evil in the sight of the Lord.
And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Jehoram, or Joram, the son of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Hey, give me the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 21 and verse 1. Let's talk about the evil that Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, did. Read that.
2 Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David.
Read.
And Jehoram his son reigned in his stead.
Jehoram reigned in his stead, in the stead of his father. Read.
And he had brethren, the sons of Jehoshaphat.
And he had brethren. Jehoshaphat had multiple sons. Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, had brothers. Read it again.
And he had brethren, the sons of Jehoshaphat, Azariah, and Jehiel, and Zechariah, and Azariah, and Michael, and Shephatiah. All these were the sons of Jehoshaphat, king of Israel.
These were the sons of Jehoshaphat, the king of Israel. Read.
And their father gave them great gifts of silver, and of gold.
He gave them treasures. Read.
And of precious things.
And precious things. Read.
With fenced cities in Judah.
And he gave them territory. He gave them lands. He gave them fenced cities in Judah. Read.
But the kingdom gave he to Jehoram.
Why?
Because he was the firstborn.
But the kingdom belonged to Jehoram. Why? Because he was the firstborn. He was the rightful heir to the throne of his father. Keep going.
Now when Jehoram was risen up to the kingdom of his father.
Now when Jehoram was finally risen up as king in his father's stead. Read.
He strengthened himself.
He made himself strong.
And slew all his brethren.
And he killed his brethren. Read.
With the sword.
So Jehoram, or Joram, the son of Jehoshaphat, was a murderer. He murdered his own brothers. He murdered his own father's sons with the sword. Read.
And divers also of the princes of Israel.
And he murdered divers also of the princes of Israel, meaning he killed many of the princes of Israel. Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, was a murderer, yo. Not only was he a murderer, jump over to verse 11.
Verse 11. Moreover, he made high places in the mountains of Judah.
Also, Jehoram was an idolater. he made or built high places in the mountains of Judah. Read.
And caused the inhabitants of Jerusalem to commit fornication.
And he caused the inhabitants of Jerusalem to commit fornication. And this fornication is twofold. It's spiritual fornication, which is idolatry, and then it's literal fornication, sexual immorality. Read.
And compelled Judah thereto.
And compelled Judah into that idolatry, into that fornication. So this man was an evil man. Let's go back to 2 Kings chapter 8. Let's read 2 Kings chapter 8 and let's read verse 20.
2 Kings chapter 8 and verse 20. In his days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah.
In his days, in Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, in his days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah. Read.
And made a king over themselves.
And made to themselves a king. This took place in the days of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Read.
So Joram went over to Zaire.
So he went over to Zaire.
And all the chariots with him.
Uh-huh.
And he rose by night.
And he rose by night.
And smote the Edomites which compassed him about.
So when he was in Zaire, him and his army camped. And at night, the Edomites surrounded them. But when he arose, they smote those Edomites that surrounded his camp. Read.
And the captains of the chariots and the people fled into their tents.
But after they smote the Edomites that surrounded them, the captains of his chariots dipped on them. And they went back home to their own tents. Read.
Yet Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah.
Even after what they did to Edom in Zaire, Edom still revolted. Read.
Unto this day.
Unto this day. Read.
Then Libnah revolted at the same time.
Libnah was a city of the Canaanites. So not only did Edom revolt at this time, but so did Libnah, the Canaanites. They also revolted against Joram or Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. But not just Edom, not just Libnah. Go back to the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 21. Go back to 2 Chronicles 21. Give me 18. Nope, 16.
2 Chronicles chapter 21 and verse 16. Moreover, the Lord stirred up against Jehoram the spirit of the Philistines.
So not only did the Edomites revolt against Jehoram, and not only did Libnah revolt against Jehoram, but the Philistines were also risen up against Jehoram. Read.
And of the Arabians that were near the Ethiopians.
And the Arabians were also risen up against Jehoram. Read.
That were near the Ethiopians. And they came up into Judah and brake into it.
And they broke into Judah.
And carried away all the substance that was found in the king's house.
They robbed the king's house.
And his sons also.
They took his sons away as well as captives. POWs. Prisoners of war. Read.
And his wives.
And they took away his wives also as captives. POWs. Prisoners of war. Read.
So that there was never a son left him. Save Jehoaz, the youngest of his sons.
The only son that was left to him was Jehoaz, the youngest of his sons. You there? Read the annotation next to Jehoaz.
Well, verse 16?
Yep, in verse 17.
So, 21:17. All right.
It's the second to the last
Carry the
sentence.
captives.
No, it's second to the last sentence.
Oh, number 2. My bad.
Yep.
Ahaziah.
Ahaziah. So Jehoaz was also called Ahaziah. He was the youngest son of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Keep reading.
Verse 18. And after all this, the Lord smote him in his bowels with an incurable disease.
So after all this, after the Edomites revolted against him, after Libnah revolted against him, after the Philistines and the Arabians that were near Ethiopia came up against him, after all this, God smote him with an incurable disease, Read.
And it came to pass that in process of time, after the end of 2 years.
After the end of 2 years. So he suffered from this incurable disease for 2 years. And after the end of 2 years, read.
His bowels fell out by reason of his sickness.
His bowels fell out because of that sickness, read.
So he died of sore diseases.
And he died of sore diseases, read.
And his people made no burning for him.
And the people didn't make any burning for him.
Like the burning of his father.
Like the burning they made for his father, read.
32 years old was he when he began to reign.
Remember, he began to rule. He was king at 32 years old, read.
And he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years.
And he only ruled for 8 years, read.
And departed without being desired.
And he departed without being desired. The people had no desire for him to be king. They had no desire, read.
Howbeit, they buried him in the city of David but not in the sepulchres of the kings.
But not in the sepulchres of the kings. Jehoram, or Joram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, was a king that was not buried among the kings, yo. He was a king that was not buried among the kings. Let's go back to the book of 2 Kings chapter 8. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 8, and I want to read verse 25.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 25.
Matter of fact, let's start at 24.
Verse 24. So Joram slept with his fathers.
He died.
And was buried with his fathers in the city of David.
He was buried in the city of David, but he wasn't buried among the kings. Read.
And Ahaziah, his son, reigned in his stead.
And Ahaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. Remember, Ahaziah is his youngest son. His youngest son became king in his stead. Why? Because all of his other sons were carried off as captives, prisoners of war. But keep going.
In the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, did Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, begin to reign.
So Ahaziah began to reign in Judah in the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab. The son of Ahab. Keep going.
Verse 26. 22 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign.
And Ahaziah was 22 years old when he was crowned king, made king. Read.
And he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem.
And he only ruled for 1 year in Jerusalem. Read.
And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Israel.
And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, the king of Israel, or the granddaughter of Omri, the king of Israel. She was Omri's granddaughter. Are you there?
Yep.
Read that annotation next to Athaliah.
Annotation, or granddaughter.
Or granddaughter. She was Omri's granddaughter. Remember, she was Ahab's daughter. Jump up to verse 18 real quick again.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 8, verse 18. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab. For the daughter of Ahab was his wife.
The daughter of Ahab was his wife. Athaliah was his wife. She was married to Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah. Finish the verse.
And he did evil in the sight of the Lord.
So Athaliah was Ahab's daughter, yo. Ahab's father was Omri. Get that about Omri being Ahab's father. 1 Kings 16, verse 28. Real quick, we'll come right back to this.
Book of 1 Kings, chapter 16, and verse 28.
Read.
So Omri slept with his fathers, and was buried in Samaria. And Ahab his son reigned in his stead.
So Omri, or Ahab, is Omri's son. And Ahab had many children. Many children. Get that about Ahab had 70 sons in chapter 10. 2 Kings chapter 10, I think it is, verse 1. Read that about he had 70 sons.
Book of 2 Kings, chapter 10, and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria.
See, Ahab had a lot of children. He had 70 sons in Samaria. Go ahead.
And Jehu wrote letters and sent to Samaria unto the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to them that brought up Ahab's children, saying.
So not only did Ahab have 70 sons, but he also had daughters. And one of the daughters that we know about is Athaliah. And the Bible tells you this woman, Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab, was a evil woman. She was a wicked woman. Give me that in 2 Chronicles 24 and 7 about Athaliah being wicked.
Book of
The devil.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 24, verse 7. For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman.
That what?
That wicked woman.
That wicked woman. Athaliah was a wicked woman. That's how the Bible describes her. Read it again.
For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman.
For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, read.
Had broken up the house of God.
They broke up the house of God. The house of God is the temple. They broke up the temple. They broke into the temple. They vandalized the temple. They robbed the temple. Read.
And also all the dedicated things of the house of the Lord.
They stole the dedicated things of the house of the Lord.
Did they bestow upon Belial.
And they bestowed those upon Baalim, which is Baal, the idol god, which is no god at all. Baal. So Athaliah was a wicked woman, a wicked ass woman. Let's go back to the book of 2 Kings chapter 8. I want 25 again.
2 Kings chapter 8, verse 25. In the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, did Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, begin to reign.
Hey, before we continue, let's go to 2 Kings 3. How long did Jehoram, or Joram, the son of Ahab, rule? We talked about this in part 2, but let's do a little refresher real quick. 3 and 1.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 3, verse 1. Now Jehoram, the son of Ahab,
Jehoram, or Joram, the son of Ahab,
began to reign over Israel in Samaria. the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah.
He became king over Israel and Samaria in the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah.
And reigned 12 years.
And he ruled for 12 years. He ruled over Samaria for 12 years. Let's go back to 2 Kings chapter 8. 2 Kings chapter 8, read 25 again.
2 Kings chapter 8, verse 25. And the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, did Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, begin to reign.
Now, before we continue, go to chapter 9. Chapter 9, and I want verse 29.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 9.
Chapter 9, verse 29.
All right, then. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 9, verse 29. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Ahaziah to reign over Judah.
Now, question. When did Ahaziah begin to reign over Judah? Was it in Joram's 11th year or in his 12th year? Hey, now I need to go to the screen to the folder real quick. Because somebody might say, this is a contradiction. No, it's not a contradiction. Let me know when we straight. We straight? All right, this is from the Blue Letter Bible, 2 Kings 9 and 29. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Ahaziah to reign over Judah. Look at that. It says, in the 11th year began Ahaziah. See the writing? It says, then he began to reign as viceroy to his father in his sickness. Remember, we read about his father's sickness. God smote his father with an incurable disease. He was sick for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, his bowels came out and he died. Now watch what it says. It says, then he began to reign as viceroy to his father in his sickness. But in Joram's 12th year, he began to reign alone. Why? Because his dad died. His father died. Now what is a viceroy? Go over. A viceroy. It says, a ruler exercising authority in a colony on behalf of a sovereign. That's what Ahaziah was. That's what Ahaziah was to his father in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab. He was a viceroy. He was just executing the authority of a king until his father finally died and he was actually crowned king. And this is not the first time that this happened. Hey, give me that real quick in chapter 15 and 5. Because the same thing happened again. Chapter 15 and 5.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 15 and verse 5. And the Lord smote the king so that he was a leper.
So that he was a leper. This is talking about Azariah, the king of Judah. He was a leprous man. But keep going.
Unto the day of his death.
Unto the day of his death. Read.
And dwelt in a several house. And Jotham, the king's son, was over the house, judging the people of the land.
And he was over the house, judging the people of the land. See, Jotham was his father's viceroy, yo. He was his father's viceroy while he was sick. We still straight? All praises. So, now that we passed that part, let's go back to 2 Kings chapter 8, and let's read 26 again.
Book of 2 Kings chapter 8.
And what we're about to go into, we're about to talk about the deaths of Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Ahab, the king of Israel. And we're about to talk about the death of Ahaziah, the son of Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah. We're about to talk about their deaths. Read verse 26.
Book of 2 Kings chapter 8, verse 26. 20 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign. And he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Athaliah,
that wicked woman,
the daughter of Omri, king of Israel.
was the granddaughter of Omri. Read.
And he walked in the way of the house of Ahab, and did evil in the sight of the Lord, as did the house of Ahab. For he was the son-in-law of the house of Ahab.
Remember, his father married into Ahab's house. He married Ahab's daughter. Keep going.
And he went to Joram, the son of Ahab, to the war against Hazael, king of Syria, in Ramoth Gilead. And the Syrians wounded Joram.
And the Syrians wounded Joram. Read.
And King Joram went back to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Syrians had given him at Ramoth.
Read.
When he fought against Hazael, king of Syria.
Keep going.
And Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to see Joram, the son of Ahab, in Jezreel.
Keep going.
Because he was sick.
Because he was sick. Chapter 9, read on down.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 9, verse 1. And Elisha, the prophet, called one of the children of the prophets, and said unto him, Gird up thy loins, and take this box of oil in thine hand, and go to Ramoth Gilead. And when thou comest thither, look out there Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat.
Look out there Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat. Read.
The son of Nimshi.
The son of Nimshi. Read.
And go in, and make him arise up from among his brethren, and carry him to an inner chamber. Then take the box of oil, and pour it on his head, and say, Thus saith the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then open the door and flee.
So the Lord anointed Jehu king over Israel. Keep going.
And tarry not. So the young man, even the young man, the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilead. And when he came, behold, the captains of the host were sitting. And he said, I have an errand to thee, O captain. And Jehu said, Unto which of all us?
He said, to which? Who is this message for? Is it for all of us or a single person? Read.
And he said, To thee, O captain.
And the young man, the young prophet said, This message is for you, Captain Jehu. Read.
And he arose and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head.
So he arose, took him into an inner part of the house, a private place, poured the oil on his head.
And said unto him,
And said what?
Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I have anointed thee king over the people of the Lord, even over Israel.
Even over Israel. You have been anointed king over the people of the Lord. Read.
And thou shalt smite the house of Ahab, thy master.
And you're going to smite or destroy the house of Ahab, your master. Read.
That I may avenge the blood of my servants the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord.
Read.
At the hand of Jezebel.
At the hand of Jezebel. At the hand of Jezebel. Stop. Who was Jezebel? Jezebel was Ahab's wife. Hold this. Give me that in 1 Kings 16 and 30. Jezebel was Ahab's wife. And she was another wicked woman, yo. Another evil-ass woman. Read this real quick.
1 Kings chapter 16, verse 30.
Uh-huh.
And Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord,
Read.
above all that were before him. And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal.
He took the wife, Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, read,
king of the Zidonians.
the king of the Zidonians. He was the king of Zidon or Sidon. These are Hamites, Canaanites. Read.
And went and served Baal and worshipped him.
So Jezebel was a Zidonian. She was a Hamite. She was a Canaanite. She was married to Ahab. This woman was a wicked woman. She was a murderer. Give me that real quick in chapter 18 and verse 3. She was a murderer of the prophets of God. Read 3 and 4.
1 Kings chapter 18, verse 3. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly.
Obadiah was a man that feared God. Read.
For it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord.
It was so that when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord. When it's saying she cut off the prophets of the Lord, it's saying she murdered the prophets of the Lord. She was killing the prophets of the Lord, Joe. Read.
That Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water.
Jump down to verse 13 to show you that cut off means kill. Read.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 13. Was it not told, my Lord, what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord?
What I did when Jezebel slew or murdered or killed or cut off the prophets of the Lord. This is Obadiah speaking. Jezebel was a murderer of the prophets of the Lord. Finish the verse.
How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water.
And not only was this Zidonian Hamite woman a murderer of the prophets, this woman was a witch. Give me that in 2 Kings 9 and 22. Jezebel was a goddamn witch, yo. Read this real quick.
2 Kings chapter 9, verse 22. And it came to pass, when Joram saw Jehu, that he said, Is it peace?
Is it peace?
Jehu.
Uh-huh.
And he answered, What peace, so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many.
Jezebel was not just a murderer, but she was a witch, yo. Not just was she a witch either, she was a whore. She was a whore as well. So this woman, this Hamite, this Zidonian, was a whore, a witch, and a murderer of the prophets of God, yo. Hey, let's jump up to verse 7.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 7. Thou shalt smite the house of Ahab thy master, that I may avenge the blood of my servants the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord at the hand of Jezebel.
At the hand of Jezebel, the murderer of the prophets. Read.
For the whole house of Ahab shall perish.
He said the whole house of Ahab shall perish. Read.
And I will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall.
That's the men. Read.
And him that is shut up and left in Israel.
Read.
And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat.
God had the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat destroyed. He left none remaining of the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Read.
And like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah.
The Lord had the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah destroyed. He left none remaining of the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah. And this is where he prophesied for Ahab, in Ahab's house. Keep going.
And the dog shall eat Jezebel.
And the dog shall eat Jezebel.
And the portion of Jezreel.
And the portion of Jezreel.
And there shall be none to bury her.
None will bury her.
And he opened the door and fled.
And the young man opened the door and got the hell out of there. Just like Elisha, the prophet, told him to do. Keep going.
Then Jehu came forth to the servants of his Lord. And one said unto him, Is all well? Wherefore came this mad fellow to thee?
Why did this mad fellow come to you? Read.
And he said unto them, Ye know the man and his communication.
Uh-huh.
And they said, Is it false? Tell us now. And he said, Thus and thus spake he to me.
This is what he said to me. Read.
Saying, Thus saith the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel.
He said, The Lord anointed me king over Israel. Read.
Then they hasted and took every man his garment.
The men took their garments
And put it under him on the top of their stairs. And blew with trumpets, saying, Jehu is king.
The men believed. They believed right then and there. Read.
So Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram.
So he conspired against Joram from that moment forward. Read.
Now Joram had kept Ramoth Gilead, he and all Israel, because of Hazael, king of Syria. Verse 15. But King Joram was returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which the Syrians had given him, when he fought with Hazael, king of Syria.
Read.
And Jehu said, If it be your minds, then let none go forth nor escape out of the city to go tell it in Jezreel.
Damn. Read.
So Jehu rode in a chariot and went to Jezreel, for Joram lay there.
Because that's where Joram was. Read.
And Ahaziah, king of Judah, was come down to see Joram.
And Ahaziah, the king of Judah, was there too. Read.
And there stood a watchman on the tower in Jezreel, and he spied the company of Jehu as he came, and said, I see a company. And Joram said, Take an horseman and send to meet them, and let him say, Is it peace?
And let him find out if there's peace. Read.
So there went one on horseback to meet him.
So one went out on horseback to meet him, to meet Jehu. Read.
And said, Thus saith the king.
Thus saith the king.
Is it peace?
Is it peace? Read.
And Jehu said,
What did he say?
What hast thou to do with peace?
What do you have to do with peace?
Turn thee behind me.
Get behind me. Read.
And the watchman told, saying, The messenger came to them, but he cometh not again.
Jehu told the messenger, Get behind me, meaning what? Follow me. And that's exactly what the messenger did. He got behind Jehu and followed Jehu. Read.
Then he sent out a second on horseback, which came to them and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace?
Now you got another messenger going to ask, Is it peace? Read.
And Jehu answered, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me.
Follow me. Read.
And the watchman told, saying, He came even unto them, and cometh not again.
So that second watchman also followed Jehu. That second messenger also followed Jehu. Read.
And the driving is like the driving of Jehu, the son of Nimshi, for he driveth furiously.
Read.
Furiously, Salakia. And Joram said, Make ready, and his chariot was made ready. And Joram, king of Israel, and Hazael, king of Judah, went out.
Ahaziah, king of Judah.
And Ahaziah, king of Judah, went out, each in his chariot.
Each in his own chariot.
And they went out against Jehu.
And they went out to meet Jehu, against Jehu. Read.
And met him in the portion of Naboth the Jezreelite.
Read.
And it came to pass, when Joram saw Jehu, that he said, Is it peace?
So when Joram finally saw Jehu, he got to ask for himself, Is it peace? Everything cool? Read.
And he answered, What peace?
He
So
said,
long.
What peace? Read.
So long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel, and her witchcrafts are so many.
And her witchcrafts are so many. Read.
So Joram turned his hands and
He
fled,
got the hell out of there. He tried to flee. He tried to run for his life. Read.
and said to Ahaziah, There's treachery, O Ahaziah.
And he was crying, Treachery. Read.
And Jehu drew a bow with his full strength, and smote Jehoram between his arms.
He hit him in his chest. Read.
And the arrow went out at his heart,
And the arrow came out of his heart. Read.
And he sunk down in his
And he
chariot.
fell down in his chariot dead. Read.
Then said Jehu to Bidkar, his captain, take up and cast him in the portion of the field of Naboth, the Jezreelite.
He said, throw his body in the portion of the field of Naboth, the Jezreelite. Read.
For remember how that when I and thou rode together after Ahab his father, the Lord laid this burden upon him.
The Lord laid this burden upon him. The Lord laid this burden upon him. Hey, give me that real quick in 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 28 about this burden falling on Joram.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 28.
Read.
And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying,
Saying what?
seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself before me?
See, Ahab, he humbled himself before the Lord. Read.
Because he humbleth himself before me,
And because he humbled himself before the Lord,
I will not bring the evil of his days.
the Lord said he would not bring the evil in his days, in the days of Ahab. What evil is he talking about here? Jump up to verse 21 about that evil.
Verse 21. Behold, I will bring evil upon thee, and will take away thy posterity,
Your children.
and will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall,
He said, I'm going to kill the men of Ahab. Read.
and him that is shut up and left in Israel,
Uh-huh.
and will make thy house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of
He said,
Nebat.
I'm going to make your house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. The house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, was destroyed. Read.
And like the house of Baasha, the son of
And
Ahijah.
it's the same thing with the house of Baasha, the son of Ahijah. His house was destroyed. Read.
For the provocation wherewith thou hast provoked me to anger,
Read.
and made Israel to sin.
Read.
And of Jezebel also spake the Lord, saying,
Saying what?
the dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of
The
Jezreel,
dogs will eat her by the wall of Jezreel. Read.
and that dieth of Ahab, and the city the dog shall eat.
Whoever dies of Ahab in the city, the dogs will eat him or her. Read.
And of him that dieth in the field
And whoever dies in the field of Ahab,
shall the fowls of the air eat.
the fowl of the air will eat them. Now, that's that evil. Jump back down to 29.
Verse 29. Seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself before me?
Uh-huh.
Because he humbleth himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his
He
days.
said, I will not bring the evil in his days. Read.
But in his son's days
But in his son's days,
will I bring this evil upon his house.
will I destroy his house. He said, I will destroy his house in his son's days. Who was his son? Joram, or Jehoram, the son of Ahab. That's his son. He said, I'm going to destroy his house in those days. And it began with, who was it? Go back. And it began with, no, hold on one second. All right. It began with Jehu, when he killed Jehoram. Now, let's talk about the death of Ahaziah. Go back to 2 Kings chapter 9 and read verse 27.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 9 verse 27. But when Ahaziah the king of Judah saw this, he fled by the way of the garden house.
So when Ahaziah saw that Jehoram was killed, he fled. Read.
And Jehu followed after him,
And Jehu chased him. Read.
and said, smite him also in the chariot.
He said, kill him as well. Kill him also. Read.
And they did so at the going up to Gur, which is by Ableam.
And they killed him. Read.
And he fled to Megiddo and died there.
And he died there. Read.
And his servants carried him in a chariot to Jerusalem, and buried him in his sepulchre with his fathers in the city of David.
Now, give me chapter 11 about what happened when Ahaziah died. Chapter 11 and verse 1.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 11 and verse 1. And when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal.
She did what?
And arose and destroyed all the seed royal.
She began to kill all of the king's sons. All of the king's sons that he had with other women. She began to kill them all. Read.
But Jehoshba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Jehoash, the son of Ahaziah,
She took Joash, the son of Ahaziah,
and stole him from among the king's sons, which were slain.
and she stole him from among the king's sons that were murdered. Read.
And they hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain.
So he wasn't murdered. Out of all of the king's sons, he was the only one that was not murdered. Read.
And he was with her hid in the house of the Lord 6 years.
He was hidden. They hid him in the temple of God for 6 years. Read.
And Athaliah did reign over the land.
And Athaliah reigned over the land for that 6 years. For those 6 years as queen in Judah. Jerusalem, read.
In the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds, with their captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the house of the Lord, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son.
And showed them the king's son. Verse 16.
Verse 16. And they laid hands.
Verse 11.
Verse 11. And the guard stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, round about the king, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner of the temple, along by the altar of the temple.
Read.
And he brought forth the king's son, and put the crown upon him, and gave him the testimony. And they made him king, and anointed him. And they clapped their hands, and said, God save the king.
They made him king, anointed him king. And this was and he was 7 years old when this happened. Jump over, matter of fact, to verse 21.
Verse 21. 7 years old was Jehoash when he began to reign.
He was 7 years old when they anointed him king, yo. He was 7 years old when he began to reign. Jump back over to verse 13.
Verse 13. And when Athaliah heard the noise of the guard and of the people, she came to the people into the temple of the Lord. And when she looked, behold, the king stood by a pillar, as the manner was, and the princes and the trumpeters by the king. And all the people of the land rejoiced and blew with trumpets. And Athaliah rent her clothes.
This woman rent her clothes.
And cried. Treason, treason.
And she started to cry out, treason. Treason. Read.
But Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds and officers of the host, and said unto them, have her forth without the ranges, and him that followeth her killed with the sword.
And whoever follows this wicked ass woman, kill them with the sword. Read.
For the priest had said, let her not be slain in the house of the Lord.
Don't kill her in the temple. Read.
And they laid hands on her.
And they laid hands on her.
And she went by the way by which the horses came into the king's house. And there was she slain.
They led her out through the stables. And that's where they killed her. They killed her out there by the stables. And guess who did it? Matter of fact, just keep going. Matter of fact, no. Matter of fact, jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was in quiet. And they slew Athaliah with the sword beside the king's house.
And they killed Athaliah with the sword beside the king's house. Remember, Athaliah was also of the house of Ahab. And remember, all of Ahab's house had to be destroyed. All of them. Hey, chapter 12 and 1.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 12, verse 1. In the 7th year of Jehu, Jehoash began to reign. And 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zabiah of Beersheba.
So, before we continue with Jehoash, which is Joash, we're going to go back real quick. Let's go back. Give me the book of 2 Kings, chapter 9 and verse 30. We want to go back to Jehu for a little bit. Read that.
2 Kings, chapter 9, verse 30. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it.
She heard that Jehu was coming to Jezreel.
And she painted her face.
She caked all that makeup on her face.
And tied her head.
And she put a head wrap on, read.
And looked out at a window.
And looked out the window, read.
And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said.
What did she say?
Had Zimri peace, who slew his master.
She said, did Zimri have peace when he killed his master? When he killed the king? Did Zimri have peace? No. When Zimri killed his master, when Zimri killed the king, you know what they called it? They called it treason, yo. They called it treason. Give me that real quick in 1 Kings 16 and 20.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 16, verse 20. Now the rest of the acts of Zimri and his treason.
And his what?
And his treason.
And his treason. When Zimri killed his master, when he killed the king, they called it treason. Read it one more time and read it through.
Now the rest of the acts of Zimri and his treason that he wrought, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel?
Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? Hey, jump up about his treason. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. In the 26th year of Asa, king of Judah, began Elah, the son of Baasha, to reign over Israel, in Tirzah 2 years.
And he reigned over Israel in Tirzah for 2 years. Read.
And his servant Zimri, captain of half his chariots.
And his servant Zimri, which was captain of half of his chariots,
conspired against him.
Conspired against him. He conspired against his master, against the king, against Elah. Read.
As he was in Tirzah, drinking himself drunk in the house of Uzzah, steward of his house, in Tirzah.
Read.
And Zimri went in and smote him.
And Zimri went in and smote him.
And killed him.
And killed him. Read.
In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah.
This took place in the 27th year of Asa, the king of Judah. Read.
And reigned in his stead.
He reigned in his stead. He ruled in his stead. Jump down to 15.
Verse 15. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, did Zimri reign 7 years in Tirzah. 7 days in Tirzah.
And he only reigned for 7 days. He only ruled for 7 days. This is the shortest reign of any king. Keep going.
And the people were encamped against Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines.
And at that time, the people were encamped at Gibbethon, making war with the Philistines. But, keep going.
And the people that were encamped heard say, Zimri hath conspired.
But when they heard that Zimri had conspired, read.
And have also slain the king.
And he had killed the king, read.
Wherefore all Israel made Omri.
Israel made Omri, read.
The captain of the host.
The captain of the host.
King over Israel that day in the camp.
They made him king. They made Omri, the captain of the host, the king over Israel, in the camp. Read.
And Omri went up from Gibbethon.
And they left Gibbethon.
And all Israel with him. And they besieged Tirzah.
They left off besieging Gibbethon to go besiege Tirzah, where Zimri was. Read.
And it came to pass, when Zimri saw that the city was taken.
So when Zimri saw that Tirzah was taken, read.
That he went into the palace of the king's house.
He went into the palace of the king's house.
And burnt the king's house over him with fire.
And he set the king's house on fire with him inside. Read.
And died.
And committed suicide. He died. Zimri did not have peace. Go back to the book of 2 Kings 9 and 30.
2 Kings chapter 9 verse 30. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. And she painted her face and tied her head. And looked out at a window. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said,
What'd she say?
Had Zimri peace who slew his master?
Did Zimri have peace after he murdered his master? After he murdered the king? After he murdered Elah? No, no, no. He did not get peace. Keep going.
And he lifted up his face to the window.
But Jehu lifted up his face to the window that this wicked woman was staring out of her.
And said, Who is on my side?
Who's on my side?
Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs.
And 2 or 3 eunuchs looked out the same window. Read.
And he said, Throw her down.
He said, if you're on my side, toss her ass out the window.
So they
threw her down. Read.
So they threw her down. And some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall.
So they threw her ass out the window. They threw her down. And some of her blood got on the wall. Read.
And on the horses.
And some of her blood got on the horses. Read.
And he trod her underfoot.
And they stepped on her. That's what it's saying. Ain't that what the young people say today? They stepped on her. You know what I'm saying? Young people we be thinking we come up with our own ideas. No. Our people been stepping on people, man. Been stepping on people. Wicked people, including wicked women. For you sisters out there that think you're going to avoid being stepped on. Hey, go on, keep reading for me.
Verse 34. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink. And said, Go, see now this cursed woman.
Go see now this cursed woman. Jezebel, this whore, this witch was a cursed woman. This murderer of the prophets was a cursed woman. Read.
And bury her, for she is a king's daughter.
And bury her, for she is a king's daughter. Remember, her father was the king of Zidon, the king of the Zidonians. His name was Ethbaal. She was a king's daughter. She was a princess. Keep reading.
And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her.
They went to bury her, but they couldn't find no more of her body. But what?
Then the skull.
All they found was the skull.
And the feet.
Her feet.
And the palms of her hands.
And the palms of her hand. That was all that was left of her body. Read.
Wherefore they came again and told him, and said,
what?
This is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, And the portion of Jezreel shall the dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel.
The dogs ate Jezebel. Just like the prophet said would happen. The dogs ate her. Read.
And the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field.
And the carcass of Jezebel is going to be like dung upon the face of the field. Remember, the dogs, they got to shit out what they eat. Excuse my language. You know what I'm talking about? Keep reading.
And the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, This is Jezebel.
So that nobody can say, this is where Jezebel is buried. This is Jezebel right here. So she was killed. Just like the prophet said, Joe. Now, Jehu, he definitely fulfilled the words of the prophet when it came down to the house of Ahab. He destroyed the house of Ahab. Go to chapter 10. Give me verse... you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 10, verse 1. And Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria. And Jehu wrote letters and sent to Samaria unto the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to them that brought up Ahab's children, saying,
Saying what?
Now as soon as this letter cometh to you,
Read.
seeing your master's sons are with you, and there are with you chariots and horses, a fenced city also, and armor. Look even out the best and meanest of your master's sons.
He said, find the best, the strongest of your master's sons, of Ahab's sons. Read.
And set him on his father's throne.
And make him king. Read.
And fight for your master's house.
And fight for him in Ahab's house. Read.
But they were exceedingly afraid.
But they were scared to death. Read.
And said,
They said what?
Behold, 2 kings stood not before him. How then shall we stand?
They said 2 kings couldn't even stand before this man. Those 2 kings being Jehoram, the son of Ahab, the king over Israel, and Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. Neither one of these kings could stand before Jehu. Read.
And he that was over the house, and he that was over the city, the elders also, and the bringers up of the children, sent to Jehu, saying,
Saying what?
We are thy servants, and will do all that thou hast bid us.
We'll do what you command. Read.
We will not make any king.
We're not making any of these people king. Read.
Do thou that which is good in thine eyes.
Whatever is good in your eyes or right in your eyes, just do it. Read.
Then he wrote a letter the second time to them,
He wrote a second letter. Read.
saying, If ye be mine,
If you be my servants, read.
and if ye will hearken unto my voice,
And if you're going to hearken unto my voice, read.
take the heads of the men of your master's sons,
Take off the heads of your master's sons. Read.
and come to me to Jezreel
Come to me to Jezreel
by tomorrow this time.
by tomorrow this time. Read.
Now the king's sons, being 70 persons,
Remember, Ahab had 70 sons. Read.
were with the great men of the city, which brought them up.
And they were with the great men of the city. These men are men that brought them up from their youth. Keep reading.
And it came to pass, when the letter came to them,
But when the great men of the city finally got this second letter from Jehu, read.
that they took the king's sons,
They took the king's sons
and slew 70 persons,
and killed all of them. Read.
and put their heads in baskets,
And put their heads in baskets
and sent him to the Jezreel, and sent them to Jezreel.
and sent those heads to Jezreel to Jehu. Read.
And there came a messenger and told him, saying, They have brought the heads of the king's sons. And he said, Lay ye them in the 2 heaps at the entering in of the gate until the morning.
He said, lay their heads in 2 piles, yo. Lay their heads in 2 piles. Give me 35 on the right and 35 on the left. Read.
And it came to pass in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, Ye be righteous.
Hey, he stood up. He said to all the people, he said, y'all are righteous, right? Read.
Behold, I have conspired against my master,
And I can't be righteous because I conspired against my master, right? Read.
and slew him.
And I killed him. Read.
But who slew all these?
But who killed all these? Who killed their masters right here? Read.
Now know that there shall fall unto the earth nothing of the word of the Lord, which the Lord spake concerning the house of Ahab. For the Lord hath done that which he spake by his servant Elijah.
For the Lord has done that which he spake by his servant Elijah. What verse is that?
That was verse 10.
Keep reading.
Verse 11. So Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab and Jezreel, and all his great men, and his kinsfolk, and his priests, until he left him none remaining.
Until he left none remaining of the house of Ahab in Jezreel. He killed them all. But not only did he kill them all in Jezreel, he killed them all in Samaria as well. Jump down. Verse 17.
Verse 17. And when he came to Samaria, he slew all that remained unto Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed him.
Until he had destroyed him. So not only did he kill all of Ahab, all that belonged to Ahab in Jezreel, but he also killed everybody that belonged to Ahab in Samaria. He destroyed the house of Ahab. Read.
According to the saying of the Lord, which he spake to Elijah.
All praises. Jump over to verse 36 now.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 10, and verse 36.
Read.
In the time that Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria was 28 years.
So Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria for 28 years. He ruled for 28 years. Jump up to verse 30.
Verse 30. And the Lord said unto Jehu, Because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes.
Because thou hast done well in executing that which was right in my eyes. See, Jehu did some things that were right in the eyes of God. We know what's right in the eyes of God. his statutes, his judgments. Those things are right in the eyes of God. You want to get it?
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and bring it out. About his judgments being his statutes and his judgments. Go ahead.
In the book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
The statutes of the Lord are right,
Read.
rejoicing the heart.
The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. Read.
And the commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes.
Keep reading.
Verse 9. The fear of the Lord is clean,
Uh-huh.
enduring forever.
Here we go.
The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether.
So God's statutes and his judgments are right. His judgments are righteous. The root word to righteous is right. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, I got one too, just to back you up. Hey, Nehemiah 9, let's start at 13. Get straight to the point.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 9, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Thou camest down also upon Mount Sinai.
Talking about Moses, how Moses came down from Mount Sinai. You know, Moses came down from Mount Sinai with what? With the instructions and the words that came from God. That goes into what? Let's see. Let's find out.
And spakest with them from heaven, and gavest them right judgments.
Gave them what?
Right judgments.
So we was given right judgments.
And true laws.
As well as with these right judgments, we was given true laws.
Good statutes and commandments.
Hey, verse 14.
Verse 14. And made it known unto them thy holy Sabbath, and commandest them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moses thy servant.
All praises.
So it said right judgments, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All praises. So the judgments of God are right. Go back to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 10, read 30 again.
2 Kings chapter 10, verse 30. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes.
I'll give you an example of something Jehu did that was right in the eyes of God. Verse 28.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 10, verse 28. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel.
That was a thing that was right in the eyes of God. Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. Jump up to verse 26.
Verse 26. And they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal.
And what?
And burned them.
And that's according to what? God's law. God's judgment, yo. Give me that real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 25.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 25. The graven images of their gods.
The graven images of their gods, their idol gods, read.
Shall ye burn with fire.
Shall ye burn with fire. This is God's law. This is God's judgment for idols. You burn them. You burn them with fire. Read.
Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them,
Uh-huh.
nor take it unto thee,
Nor take it to you. Read.
lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God.
It's an abomination to the Lord our God. Read the next verse too.
Verse 26. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house,
He said, don't bring the idol, the abomination into your house. Read.
lest thou be a cursed thing like it.
Lest you end up a cursed thing like that idol, that abomination. Read.
But thou shalt utterly detest
You
it,
should hate it. Read.
and thou shalt utterly abhor it,
And you should utterly abhor it, meaning hate it. Read.
for it is a cursed thing.
Because it is a cursed thing. You got something?
Yeah, let me get one. Hey, go to Deuteronomy 12, and I need one all the way down to 3.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 1.
All the way down to 4.
Deuteronomy 12, verse 1. These are the statutes and judgments
And remember, these are based on God's good statutes and God's right judgments. Let's read.
which ye shall observe to do in the land,
Which we learn to do in the land. Keep reading.
which the Lord God of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it,
Yeah, Jerusalem.
all the days that ye live upon the earth.
Uh-huh.
Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods.
So it's talking about the nations and their gods. So let's see what concerns the nations and their gods. Let's read.
Upon the high mountains,
So you know it's talking about their gods because the nations put their gods upon high mountains.
and upon the hills,
That's where you see their places of worship, upon hills. Read.
and under every green tree.
As well as under every green tree. Verse 3.
And ye shall overthrow their altars.
We should do what?
Overthrow their altars.
Ransack. What else?
And break their pillars.
That means tear down.
And burn their groves
There we go.
with fire.
Burn their groves with fire. Keep reading.
And ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods.
Yeah, you should throw down, destroy the graven images of their gods. Read.
And destroy the names of them out of that place.
Uh-huh.
Ye shall not do so unto the Lord your God.
Hey, that was it.
Hey, go back to 2 Kings chapter 10, read 26.
2 Kings chapter 10, verse 26.
Uh-huh.
And they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal, and burned them.
And they burned them, read.
And they break down the image of Baal.
And they broke down the idol image of Baal, read.
And break down the house of Baal.
And they broke down the temple of Baal. Read.
And made it a drought house unto this day.
And made it a drought house unto this day. A drought house is a latrine, an outhouse. It's a toilet is what they made it. They made it a toilet.
Read. Made it a shitter.
Basically. Keep going.
Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel.
Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. This is an example of something Jehu did that was right in the eyes of God. Jump back down to verse 30 again.
Verse 30. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes,
Read.
and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in mine heart.
Remember, it was Jehu that destroyed all of the house of Ahab. That was according to what God wanted. Keep reading.
Thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel.
He said, so your children shall rule in Israel for 4 generations, yo. For 4 generations. Now the question is, why did he only get 4 generations? Read verse 31.
Verse 31. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart.
That's why he only got 4 generations. Because with all that being said, Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart. And remember, we're commanded to walk after God with all our heart. But keep going.
For he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin.
He continued in the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin. Now, you may have forgotten what the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, is. So let's jump up to verse 29.
Verse 29. Howbeit, from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin,
Read.
Jehu departed not from after them, to wit,
To know, read.
the golden calves,
The golden calves.
the golden calves that were in Bethel and that were in Dan.
So Jehu followed and worshiped those golden calves, those idol calves that Jehu, the son of Nebat, had made and put in Bethel and Dan. He continued in that all his days. So jump down to verse 32.
All right. Verse 32. In those days the Lord began to cut Israel short.
He began to cut Israel short. Israel began to lose territory in those days. Read.
And Hazael smote them in all the coast of Israel.
And Hazael, the king of Syria, he smote the coast of Israel. He conquered the coast of Israel. And the people in the coast of Israel, yo, read.
From Jordan eastward.
From the Jordan eastward.
All the land of Gilead.
He conquered the land of Gilead.
The Gadites.
He conquered the Gadites.
And the Reubenites.
The Reubenites.
The Manassites.
The Manassites.
From Oriar. Which is by the river Arnon. Even Gilead and Bashan.
Even Gilead and Bashan. He conquered all these places. Jump down to 34.
Verse 34. Now the rest of the acts of Jehu, and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Israel?
Give me 2 Kings chapter 13. 2 Kings chapter 13 and verse 1. Let's move on. Read this.
2 Kings chapter 13 verse 1. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah.
Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah. He was the young man who was crowned king at 7 years old. That's what we're talking about right here. But keep going.
Jehoash, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 17 years.
And he reigned 17 years. Jehoash began to reign in the stead of his father in Samaria, and he ruled for 17 years. Now, before we get to him, we got to go back to Joash, the son of Ahaziah. Go back to the book of 2 Kings. Let me get chapter 12 and verse 1, yes.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 12, verse 1. In the 7th year of Jehu, Jehoash began to reign, and 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem.
Joash reigned for 40 years, read.
And his mother's name was Zabiah of Beersheba. And Jehoash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, all the days wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him.
He did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days that Jehoiada the priest instructed him. Jehoiada the priest, he was the chief priest at this time. He was the chief among all the priests at this time. Give me that 2 Chronicles 24 and 6.
2 Chronicles chapter 24, verse 6. And the king called for Jehoiada the chief.
And the king called for Jehoiada the chief. Jehoiada was the chief among the priests at this time. Read.
And said unto him, Why hast thou not required of the Levites to bring in out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection, according to the commandment of Moses, the servant of the Lord, and of the congregation of Israel, for the tabernacle of witness.
For the tabernacle of witness. Hey, get that collection real quick that Moses commanded. Give me Exodus chapter 30. Let's get that collection that Moses commanded us in the wilderness. Exodus 30, start at 11.
Book of Exodus chapter 30 and verse 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, When thou takest the sum of the children of Israel, after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord.
Every man shall give a ransom for his soul unto the Lord. This ransom is that collection. That collection. Read.
When thou numberest them, that there be no plague among them, when thou numberest them.
Read.
For they shall give every one that passeth among them that are numbered half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary.
Shall give half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. Read.
A shekel is 20 gerahs.
So if the shekel is 20 gerahs, the half a shekel would be 10. Read.
A half shekel shall be the offering of the Lord.
10 gerahs. Read.
Every one that passeth among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto the Lord.
Everyone that's 20 years old and above gives this collection. Everyone. Read.
The rich shall not give more.
And the rich, they don't give more. Read.
And the poor shall not give less.
And the poor don't give less
than half a shekel.
Than half a shekel. Read.
When they give an offering unto the Lord, Salakia, to make an atonement for your souls. Verse 16. And thou shalt take the atonement money.
And thou shalt take the atonement what?
Money.
The atonement money. This collection was money. It was a monetary collection. It was atonement money. Read.
Of the children of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
And it was for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. That's what the money was used for. Not for the pastor's pockets.
That's right.
But for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Read.
That it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel, but for the Lord, to make an atonement for your souls.
Let's go back to 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 12. Let's read verse 2 and 3.
2 Kings chapter 12 verse 2. And Jehoash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, all the days wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him.
All the days that Jehoiada the priest instructed him, he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. Read.
But the high places were not taken away.
But he never took away the high places. Read.
The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places.
The people were still sacrificing and burning incense in the high places. Now, jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. But it was so that in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priest had not repaired the breaches of the house.
So 23 years into the reign or the rule of Jehoash, the priest still hadn't repaired the breaches of the house. And remember, these breaches of the house took place when Athaliah's sons broke up the temple. Remember, we read that earlier. Go back to that real quick in case somebody forgot. 2 Chronicles chapter 24 and verse 7.
2 Chronicles chapter 24 verse 7.
For
the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken up the house of God.
See, Athaliah's sons broke up the house of God. They broke into the house of God. They vandalized the house of God. Robbed the house of God. Finish the verse.
And also all the dedicated things of the house of the Lord did they bestow upon Balaam.
So when you go back to 2 Kings chapter 12 and verse 8.
2 Kings chapter 12 and verse 8.
No, not 8, verse 6, excuse me.
Verse 6. And it was so that in the 23rd year of King Jehoash,
so
the priest,
23 years into Joash's reign as king, read,
had not repaired the breaches of the house.
And the priest still had not repaired the breaches of the house from the time that Athaliah's sons broke up the temple. They still didn't prepare the breaches of the house, yo. Hold on 1 second. Oh, go ahead. Keep reading. Verse 7.
Verse 7. Then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest, and the other priests, and said unto them, Why repair ye not the breaches of the house? Now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house.
It's acquaintance.
Acquaintance.
He said, receive no more money from your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. Remember, before this, the priests were allowed to receive money from the people. Jump up real quick to verse 4.
Verse 4. And Jehoash said to the priest, All the money of the dedicated things that is brought unto the house of the Lord, even the money of every one that passeth the account, the money that every man is set at, and all the money that cometh in any man's heart to bring into the house of the Lord.
Read.
Let the priests take it
See,
to...
the priests were able to take that money to themselves. Read.
Let the priests take it to them. Every man of his acquaintance.
They were able to take money from their acquaintance. Read.
And let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found.
But the reason why Joash told them to take the money is so that they would repair the breaches of the house, so that they would repair the breaches of the house. But what verse was that?
That was verse 5.
What's up?
I thought I heard something.
Oh no, we good. If it was somebody, they would have knocked around the doorbell. Never mind. There we go. Go ahead. Never mind. Where were we at? Repair them. That was verse what? What verse was that?
That was verse 5.
That was verse 5. All right, jump down to verse. Hold on. Go ahead and say something, bro.
All right. Hey. While we hold that, we coming right back. You know what we always like to go over. Hey, go Romans 15 and 4. Romans 15 and 4. Another good reason why we go over a lot of history in the Bible, because the history in the Bible, it was left for what?
Romans chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime.
So the things that are written aforetime
were written for our learning.
The things that are written aforetime are found in the Bible. These things that were written, it was written for what? Our learning. Let's keep reading.
That we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
That was it.
Go back to 2 Kings chapter 12, read verse 7 again.
Book of 2 Kings chapter 12, verse 7. Then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada, the priest, and the other priests, and said unto them, Why repair ye not the breaches of the house? Now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house.
So he told them they were no longer allowed to take the money from the people. Now he didn't tell them don't take any money and go broke. No, read verse 16 real quick.
Verse 16. The trespass money and sin money was not brought into the house of the Lord. It was the priest.
He allowed the priest to keep the trespass money and the sin money. He allowed them to keep that. But they can no longer take money from their acquaintance. Jump back over to verse 8.
Verse 8. And the priest consented to receive no more money of the people.
So the priest agreed, read.
Neither to repair the breaches of the house.
And they agreed not to repair the breaches of the house themselves. They agreed not to do it themselves because the Levites, which are the priests, the Levites didn't do it the first time. The Haitians didn't do it the first time. So now they had to agree not to repair the house this time. Levi. Keep reading.
But Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it and set it beside the altar on the right side as one cometh into the house of the Lord. And the priests that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought into the house of the Lord.
Read.
And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags and told the money that was found in the house of the Lord. And they gave the money, being told, into the hands of them that did the work, that had the oversight of the house of the Lord.
So they gave the money to those men that were supervising the work that was being done in the house of the Lord. They gave the money to the supervisors. Read.
And they laid it out to the carpenters.
And the supervisors, they paid the carpenters.
And the builders.
And the builders.
That wrought upon the house of the Lord.
That worked upon the temple. That worked on the temple. Read.
And to masons.
They paid the masons.
And hewers of stone.
Hewers of stone.
And to buy timber.
They used the money to buy timber.
And hewed stone to repair the breaches of the house of the Lord.
And to buy hewed stone to repair the breaches of the house of the Lord. Read.
And for all that was laid out for the house to repair it.
And for all that was laid out for the house to repair it. That's what they used the money for. Read.
Howbeit, they were not made for the house of the Lord bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, any vessels of gold, or vessels of silver, of the money that was brought into the house of the Lord.
These things weren't made until the house of the Lord were completed, or until the repairs or the work of the house of the Lord was completed. That's when those things were made. Matter of fact, just to show that, let's get that real quick in 2 Chronicles. I didn't write this down, but I want to find it real quick. 2 Chronicles 24, and I want verse 14. Matter of fact, start at 13.
2 Chronicles chapter 24, verse 13. So the workmen wrought, and the work was perfected by them.
The work was perfected, meaning it was completed. Read.
And they set the house of God in its state.
And they set the house of God back to its original state when Solomon had it built, right?
And strengthened it.
And they reinforced it. They strengthened it, meaning they reinforced the house of God, right?
And when they had finished it,
and when they finally finished the repairs, when they finished strengthening or reinforcing the temple, right?
They brought the rest of the money before the king and Jehoiada.
They brought the rest of the money before the king and before the chief priest Jehoiada, right?
Whereof were made vessels for the house of the Lord.
And that's when they began to make the vessels for the house of the Lord. They made the vessels for the house of the Lord when the work was completed. Read.
Even vessels to minister and to offer withal, and spoons, and vessels of gold and silver. And they offered burnt offerings in the house of the Lord continually all the days of Jehoiada.
Continually all the days of Jehoiada. Let's go back to the book of 2 Kings chapter 12. 2 Kings chapter 12 in verse 14.
2 Kings chapter 12.
In fact, start at 13 again. Read that again.
2 Kings chapter 12 verse 13. Howbeit, they were not made for the house of the Lord bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, any vessels of gold, or vessels of silver, of the money that was brought into the house of the Lord.
Remember, those things weren't made until the work of the Lord was perfected, until it was completed. Then they made those things with the rest of the money they had left over. But keep going.
But they gave that to the workmen, and repaired therewith the house of the Lord.
They gave the money to the workmen and repaired the house of the Lord, the temple. Read.
Moreover, they reckoned not with the men, into whose hand they delivered the money to be bestowed on workmen.
They gave the money to those who had the oversight of the work, the supervisors. They didn't have to go and reckon with them, meaning they didn't need receipts to see what they were doing with the money. Why? Keep reading.
For they dealt faithfully.
Because they dealt faithfully. They dealt faithfully with the money at that time, yo.
So they
dealt faithfully.
They didn't defraud their neighbors.
They didn't defraud their neighbors at all. Hey, and also, according to the law, guess when a man is supposed to be paid?
Oh, yeah.
The day he does the work. Give me that in real quick in Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 13. And that's exactly what they did here. They paid the men every day that the men worked. And you might say, well, how do you know that? I know that because it just told you that they dealt how? Faithfully. Faithfully, which means they dealt lawfully. Leviticus 19:13.
Leviticus chapter 19 verse 13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor.
Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor.
Neither rob him.
Neither rob him. Read.
The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning.
What's that mean? That means that you have to pay the man the day the man does the work.
Yeah.
If you don't pay him, guess what you just did? Robbed him. If you don't pay him the day he does the work, guess what that's called? Fraud. That's called fraud. Give me that in James chapter 5. You got something? Go ahead.
The book of Sirach chapter 29 verse 3.
Is it going to say fraud?
No.
Hey, you can get that next. Give me James chapter 5 and verse 4. That's called fraud, Joe. That is called fraud. Read that.
Book of James chapter 5 verse 4. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields.
Read.
Which is of you kept back by fraud.
Which is of you kept back by fraud. To withhold a laborer's wages any longer than what the law says is fraud.
That's right.
It is fraud, yo. Real talk. And that labor, I don't care if that labor is a carpenter, a builder, a brick mason, a hewer of wood, a laborer that reaps your field, to keep back his or her wages any longer than the law says is fraud. Finish the verse.
Crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth.
The Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies. Bring out your precept.
The book of Sirach chapter 29 and verse 3. Keep thy word and deal faithfully with him.
Keep your word and deal faithfully with him. Your neighbor, your brethren. Read.
And thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for thee.
All praises. Hey, let's go from there. Let's go back to 2 Chronicles. Give me 24 and 13. Matter of fact, did we read that already? Let me go back. Let me get that. I think we read 24 and 13 already. So,
yes.
Give me 24 and 14. No. 24 and 15.
Book of 2 Chronicles chapter 24 verse 15. But Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died. 130 years old was he when he died.
This man was full of days when he died. He was 130 years old when he died. Read.
And they buried him in the city of David among the kings.
And they buried this priest, this chief priest in the city of David among the kings, man. There were kings that didn't even get that honor. But this man did. Read.
because he had done good in Israel.
And this is why he got that honor. Because he did good in Israel, read.
Both toward God.
Both towards God.
And toward his house.
And towards the temple of God. He did good in Israel. Keep reading.
Now, after the death of Jehoiada, came the princes of Judah, and made obeisance to the king. Then the king hearkened unto them.
Read.
And they left the house of the Lord God of their fathers, and served groves and idols.
And they served groves and idols, yo. They served groves and idols. So Joash went into idolatry. He began to serve idol gods, along with the princes of Judah. Read.
And wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this their trespass.
And because of this, God's wrath came on Judah and Jerusalem. Read.
Yet he sent prophets to them, to bring them again unto the Lord. And they testified against them.
And the prophets testified against them. Read.
But they would not give ear.
But they would not give ear to the prophets. Read.
And the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the priest.
So Jehoiada, the priest, he had a son named Zechariah. And his son, Zechariah, was a prophet. Read.
Which stood above the people, and said unto them.
And said what?
Thus saith God, why transgress ye the commandments of the Lord?
Why break the commandments of God? Read.
That ye cannot prosper.
That you cannot prosper. Read.
Because ye have forsaken the Lord.
Because you have forsaken the Lord.
He have also forsaken you.
The Lord has forsaken you. Read.
And they conspired against him.
And they conspired against him, the king, the princes of Judah. They conspired against Zechariah, the prophet, the son of Jehoiada, the chief priest. Read.
And stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king.
And they stoned him with stones at the king's commandment. Read.
And the court of the house of the Lord.
And they killed him in the court of the temple. In the court of the house of the Lord. Read.
Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him.
Joash didn't remember the kindness of Jehoiada. Read.
But slew his son.
But killed his son Zechariah. Read.
And when he died.
And as Zechariah was dying. Read.
He said.
What did he say?
The Lord look upon it.
He said the Lord sees it. Read.
And require it.
And he's going to require it. He's going to require it. Read.
Verse 23. And it came to pass at the end of the year.
At the end of the year that Zechariah died. Read.
That the host of Syria came up against him.
That an army of Syria came up against Joash. Read.
And they came to Judah and Jerusalem and destroyed all the princes of the people from among the people.
They killed the princes of the people from among the people. They destroyed them. Read.
And sent all the spoil of them unto the king of Damascus.
And they robbed Judah, Jerusalem, and sent the spoil to Damascus, the king of Damascus. Read.
For the army of the Syrians came with a small company of men.
And the army of the Syrians was small. They had a small army. Read.
And the Lord delivered a very great host into their hand.
But the Lord delivered the very great host of Judah into their hands. Read.
Because they have forsaken the Lord, God of their fathers.
And that's why. Read.
So they executed judgment against Joash.
So they executed judgment against Joash. Keep reading.
And when they were departed from him, for they left him in great diseases with his own servants. His own servants, Salakia, conspired against him.
His own servants conspired against him. Read.
For the blood of the sons of Jehoiada the priest. And slew him on his bed.
They killed him on his bed.
And he died. And they buried him in the city of David.
And they buried him in the city of David.
But they buried him not in the sepulchres of the kings.
Joash was a king that was not buried among the kings, yo. Damn. Read.
And these are they that conspired against him.
Now these are his servants that conspired against him and killed him. Read.
Zabad, the son of Shemoth.
You got Zabad, the son of Shimeoth.
Shimeoth, okay.
And he's also called, I got an annotation in my Bible, the number 1, it says, or Josachar. So Zabad was also called Josachar. Read.
And Ammonitis.
And his mother, Shimeoth, was an Ammonitis, a Japanese woman. Read.
And Jehozabad, the son of Shemrith, a Moabitess.
And Jehozabad, his mother, Shemrith, was a Moabite, a Chinese woman. Read.
Now concerning his sons, and his greatness of the burdens laid upon him, and the repairing of the house of God.
In Joash's days, he repaired the breaches of the house of God, of the temple. Read.
Behold, they are written in the story of the book of the kings, and Amaziah his son reigned in his stead.
Second Kings 13:1.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 13, verse 1. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel and Samaria and reigned 17 years.
And he reigned for 17 years. Jehoahaz reigned for 17 years in Samaria. Read.
And did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom.
So he followed after those idol calves that Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, had made. Keep going.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, king of Syria, and into the hand of Ben-Hadad, the son of Hazael, all their days.
All their days. All the days of Hazael and Ben-Hadad. Read.
And Jehoahaz besought the Lord, and the Lord hearkened unto him.
Matter of fact, hold on. What verse was that?
That was verse 4.
Jump down to 9.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 13, verse 9. And Jehoahaz slept with his fathers.
He died.
And they buried him in Samaria. And Joash, his son, reigned in his stead.
And Joash, his son, reigned in his stead. Read.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 13, verse 10. And the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 16 years.
He ruled for 16 years. Read.
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
He also did evil in the sight of the Lord.
He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat.
He didn't depart from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat,
who made Israel to sin. But he walked therein.
But he walked in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat. Read.
And the rest of the acts of Joash.
Matter of fact, that was verse 11.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Read 12.
Verse 12. And the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, and all his might wherewith he fought against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel?
Are they not written in the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So what I want to talk about right now is Amaziah. And I want to talk about the war between Amaziah and Joash. Give me 2 Kings 14 and 1.
Book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 1. In the second year of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, reigned Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah.
Read.
He was 25 years old when he began to reign.
He was 25 years old when he became king. Read.
And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem.
And he ruled for 29 years in Jerusalem. Read.
And his mother's name was Jehoiadan of Jerusalem.
Read.
And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, yet not like David his father.
He did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, but he wasn't like David. Read.
He did according to all the things as Joash his father did.
Read.
Howbeit the high places were not taken away, as yet the people did sacrifice and burn incense on the high places.
Keep going.
And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hand, that he slew his servants which had slain the king his father.
He killed his servants that killed his father. Who is that talking about? Go to chapter 12, read 20 and 21.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 12, and verse 21. For Jehoshaphat,
Started 20.
verse 20. And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Millo, which goeth down to Silla. For Josachar, the son of Shimeoth, and Jehozabad, the son of Shemer, his servants smote him, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead.
Go back to chapter 14 and read 5 again.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 5. And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hand, that he slew his servants, which had slain the king his father.
He killed Josachar and he killed Josabad, the two men that killed his father. As soon as he got power, he put their asses to death. Read.
But the children of the murderers he slew not,
But he didn't kill their children. Read.
according to that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Lord commanded, saying, the fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers.
Read.
But every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
Get the law. Deuteronomy 24 and 16. Get the law that they're quoting.
Deuteronomy chapter 24 and verse 16.
Read.
The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin.
Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. This is the law of God, yo. The law of God. Let's go back to the book of 2 Kings chapter 14 and verse 7.
2 Kings chapter 14 verse 7. He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000.
Read that again.
He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000.
Talking about Amaziah. Amaziah killed 10,000 Edomites, which are Caucasians today.
That's
10,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt. Read.
And took Salah by war, and called the name of it Joktheel.
And he took Salah by war and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day. Unto this day. Hey, Jael, Selah, I got an annotation in my Bible. It says, or the rock. So Selah was also called the rock. Selah is what we know today as Petra. It is what we know today as Petra. Give me that Isaiah 16 and 1. I need you to get there as well. Isaiah chapter 16 and 1.
Book of Isaiah chapter 16 verse 1. Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land, from Salah to the wilderness, unto the mount of the daughter of Zion.
From Selah to the wilderness. When you get there, read the annotation next to Selah.
Selah, number 13, or Petra.
Or Petra. Or
Hebrew, a rock.
or a rock. So Selah, over here is S-E-L-A, but it's the same as what it said in 2 Kings, S-E-L-A-H, same exact thing, just different spelling. Selah was Petra. Petra, the rock, yo. The rock. Hey, give me 2 Chronicles chapter 25, is it? 2 Chronicles 25 and verse 11.
2 Chronicles chapter 25 verse 11.
11 and 12.
And Amaziah strengthened himself and led forth his people, and went to the valley of Salt, and smote of the children of Seir 10,000.
The children of Seir, Edom, who we know today is Caucasians. He killed 10,000 of them in the valley of Salt. Read.
And another 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive.
And another 10,000 were left alive, carried away captive by the children of Judah. Read.
And brought them unto the top of the rock.
And brought them onto the top of the rock. What is the rock? Selah. Petra. They brought them to the top of Petra. Read.
And cast them down.
And threw their asses off. Read.
From the top of the rock.
Uh-huh.
That they all were broken in pieces.
I just had to bring that out. I love this part. How they threw them off the top of Petra and broke them in pieces. I love that part, man. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. If you don't love it, check your spirit. Hey, go back to 2 Kings chapter 14. 2 Kings chapter 14. Read verse 7 again.
The book of 1st, 2nd Kings chapter 14 verse 7. He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Salah by war, and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day.
He called it Joktheel unto this day. So he destroyed Edom. But you know what? Go back to 2 Chronicles 25. Let's see what he did after he destroyed Edom real quick. 25 and 14.
2 Chronicles chapter 25 verse 14.
Uh-huh.
Now it came to pass after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites.
After he slaughtered Edom in the valley of Salt, at the rock, at Petra, read.
That he brought the gods of the children of Seir.
He did what?
That he brought the gods of the children of Seir.
He brought back the idol gods of Edom with him, read.
And set them up to be his gods.
And set them up to be his gods. The idol gods of Edom, he set up to be his gods, read.
And bowed down himself before them.
Uh-huh.
And burned incense unto them.
And burned incense to the idol gods of Edom, read.
Wherefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against Amaziah. And he sent unto him a prophet, which said unto him, Why hast thou sought after the gods of the people?
Why have you sought after the gods of the heathen, read?
Which cannot deliver their own people out of thine hand.
These idols couldn't even deliver Edom from you. Read.
Verse 16. And it came to pass, as he talked with him,
As the prophet talked, read.
that the king said unto him,
The king said what?
Art thou made of the king's counsel?
Are you of my counsel? He said, do you sit on my counsel or something? Read.
Forbear, why shouldest thou be smitten?
He said, you need to shut up. Why do you want to hurt yourself? Read.
Then the prophet forbare and said,
So the prophet got quiet and said what?
I know that God hath determined to destroy thee.
He said, I know God is determined to destroy you, Amaziah. Was that in that verse?
No.
Finish it out.
Because thou hast done this, and hast not hearkened unto my counsel.
Because you have done this, you haven't hearkened to my counsel. Jump over to verse 27.
Verse 27. Now after the time that Amaziah did turn away from following the Lord, they made a conspiracy against him in
So
Jerusalem.
from the moment that Amaziah turned away from following the Lord, there was a conspiracy made against him in Jerusalem. Read.
And he fled to Lachish.
And he went to Lachish, read.
But they sent to Lachish after him and slew him.
And they killed him there. Let's go back to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, and I want verse 9.
2 Kings chapter 14, verse 9. And Jehoash, the king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying,
Saying what?
The thistle that was in...
Matter of fact, start at 8 then.
All right. The book of 2 Kings chapter 14, verse 8. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying,
Saying what?
Come, let us look one another in the face.
Let us look one another in the face, meaning let's make war. Let's battle. Read.
And Jehoash, the king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying,
Saying what?
The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying,
The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, the thistle in Lebanon is Edom. The cedar in Lebanon is Joash. He's talking about himself. Read.
saying,
Saying what?
Give thy daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon.
The wild beast that was in Lebanon is Amaziah. He was the wild beast of Lebanon. Read.
And trode down the thistle.
And he trode down the thistle. He destroyed Edom. He destroyed Edom. Read.
Thou hast indeed smitten Edom.
So he said, you indeed, you smote Edom. Read.
And thy heart have lifted thee up.
And because of this, you're proud, Joe. Read.
Glory of this, and tarry at home.
He said, yo, just glory about your destruction of Edom and stay at home, man. Read.
For why shouldest thou meddle to thy hurt?
Why mess with me and get hurt?
That thou shouldest fall.
He said you're going to fall.
Even thou
You
and Judah with thee.
and all of Judah is going to fall with you. Read.
But Amaziah would not hear. Therefore Jehoash, king of Israel, went up, and he and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face at Beth Shemesh.
They made war. They battled at Beth Shemesh. Read.
Which belongeth to Judah.
Read.
And Judah was put to the worst before Israel.
Damn, read.
And they fled every man to their tents. And Jehoash, king of Israel, took Amaziah, king of Judah, and son of Jehoash, the son of Ahaziah, of Bethshemeth, and came to Jerusalem, and brake down the wall of Jerusalem, from the gate of Ephraim unto the corner gate, 400 cubits.
Damn, read.
And he took all the gold and silver, and all the vessels that were found in the house of the Lord, and in the treasures of the king's house, and hostages, and returned to Samaria.
Jump down to 16.
Verse 16. And Jehoash slept with his fathers, and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. And Jeroboam his son reigned in his stead.
And Jeroboam his son reigned in his stead. Verse 17.
And Amaziah the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived after the death of Jehoash, son of Jehoaz, king of Israel, 15 years.
So after Jehoash died, Amaziah lived another 15 years, yo. Another 15 years. Now jump down to 19.
Verse 19. Now they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem.
Remember, this conspiracy was made against him from the moment he stopped following the Lord. We read about that in 2 Chronicles. Keep going.
And he fled to Lachish. But they sent after him to Lachish and slew him there.
And they killed him there, right?
And they brought him on horses. And he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in the city of David. And all the people of Judah took Azariah, which was 16 years old, and made him king instead of his father Amaziah.
They took Azariah and made him king in the stead of his father. When his father died, he was made king. And he was 16 years old when he was anointed king. Is that in that verse?
That was verse
Go over to chapter 15 and 1.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 15.
Oh, matter of fact, hold on. Before we actually go there, that was verse 21 we just read?
Yes.
All right, hey, jump down, because I want to talk about Jeroboam, the son of Joash. Verse 23.
The book of 2 Kings, chapter 14, verse 23. And the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria, and reigned 41 years.
He ruled for 41 years in Samaria, right?
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
He also did evil in the sight of the Lord.
Of Jeroboam.
He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. Verse 25.
Verse 25. He restored the coast of Israel.
He restored the coast of Israel. Remember we read earlier about how Hazael smote the coast of Israel, conquered the coast of Israel, and the people that was there. Well, Jeroboam, he restored the coast of Israel. Read it again.
I want to say it. Here it says Jeroboam the second.
Okay, that's cool. But this is Jeroboam. That's cool. Go ahead.
Verse 25. He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath unto the sea of the plain, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel, which he spake by the hand of his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, which was of Gath-Hepher.
And this was all done according to the word of the prophet Jonah, the son of Amittai. And yes, this is the Jonah from the book of Jonah. Give me Jonah 1:1. We'll come right back. Just to show you, this is the Jonah from the book of Jonah. Jonah 1:1.
The book of Jonah, chapter 1, verse 1. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying,
Saying what?
Arise, go to Nineveh.
Oh, matter of fact, that was in the verse 1?
Yeah.
Read it one more time.
Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying.
So Jonah, the son of Amittai, is the same one that we just read about prophesying about the coast and the cities of Israel being restored by Jeroboam. Like he brought out Jeroboam the second. This is not Jeroboam the son of Nebat. This is Jeroboam the son of Jehoash. Go back to 2 Kings chapter 14 and read verse...
We'll start with 25 again.
Let me see here. Give me, you know what? Go to 15. 15 and 1.
All right. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 15, verse 1. In the 27th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, began Azariah, son of Amaziah, king of Judah, to reign. 16 years old was he when he began to reign. And he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem.
He reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. Actually, he has the second longest rule of any king in Judah, or any king among the Israelites, period. Read.
And his mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem.
And his mother's name was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. Read.
And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that his father Amaziah had done.
So he did the things that were right in the sight of the Lord. This man did things that were right in the sight of the Lord. Azariah the king. This man was also a leper. He was a leper. Jump down to verse 5 and read that real quick.
Verse 5. And the Lord smote the king, so that he was a leper unto the day of his death.
See, this man was a leper. Unto the day of his death, he was leprous. And we're gonna read why he was made a leper. But keep going.
And dwelt in a several house.
He dwelt in a several house, meaning a separated house, a segregated house. He lived by himself. Read.
And Jotham the king's son was over the house, judging the people of the land.
And his son was his viceroy, like we talked about earlier. His son was his viceroy. Let's go from there. Give me 2 Chronicles 26. Let's start at verse 1.
2 Chronicles chapter 26, verse 1. Then all the people of Judah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in the room of his father Amaziah.
Read.
He built Eloth and restored it to Judah.
He built Eloth and restored it to Judah.
After that, the king slept with his fathers.
After that, he died. Jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. And he sought God in the days of Zechariah.
It's talking about Uzziah. Hey, you there?
Yep.
Read the annotation. Go to verse 1. Verse 1. Read the annotation next to Uzziah real quick.
Uzziah, number 9. Azariah.
Azariah. So Azariah was also called Uzziah. As you read through the Bible, you'll read about Uzziah. That is Azariah. Hey, read verse 5 again.
Verse 5. And he sought God in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding in the visions of God.
He had understanding in the visions of God, meaning he could understand the prophecies and the word of God. That's what it's saying. This priest could understand the prophecies in the word of God. Read.
And as long as he sought the Lord, God made him to prosper.
As long as Uzziah, which is Azariah, sought the Lord, he prospered, Joe. He prospered. Matter of fact, jump down to verse 8.
All right. Verse 8. And the Amorites gave gifts to Uzziah.
That's how much he prospered. Even the Ammonites, or what does it say, Ammonites?
Mm-hmm.
Even the Ammonites had to give Uriah gifts, taxes, tribute. Read.
And his name spread abroad, even to the entering in of Egypt, for he strengthened himself exceedingly.
And his name spread abroad. He became famous. And he strengthened himself exceedingly. Remember, Uzziah had a great army, a mighty army. Jump down to 11.
Verse 11. Moreover, Uzziah had a host of fighting men that went out to war by bands, according to the number of their account, by the hand of Jehiel, the scribe,
Read.
and Maaseiah, the ruler,
Read.
under the hand of Hananiah, one of the king's captains.
Read.
The whole number of the chief of the fathers of the mighty men of valor were 2,600.
He said his mighty men of valor were 2,600. He had 2,600 mighty men of valor. Read.
And under their hand was an army.
And under their hand was an army, yo. An army. Read.
300,000 and 7,500 that made war with mighty power to help the king against the enemy.
To help the king against the enemy. So Uzziah was mighty. He was mighty and he prospered. But with all that being said, jump down to verse 16.
Verse 16. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction.
But when he was made strong, he became proud. Pride got him. And it was to his own destruction. Read.
For he transgressed against the Lord his
He
God,
transgressed against God. Read.
and went into the temple of the Lord to burn incense upon the altar of incense.
And he went into the temple of the Lord to burn incense upon the altar of incense. That's not something he was able to do, yo. To burn the incense, or the burning of the incense upon the altar of incense, that only belonged to Aaron and his sons, yo. That's all that belonged to. Give me that real quick in Exodus chapter 30. We'll come back to this. Exodus chapter 30 and verse 1.
Exodus chapter 30, verse 1. And thou shalt make an altar to burn incense upon, of shittim wood shalt thou make it.
Now jump down to 7.
Verse 7. And Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning.
And Aaron shall burn the incense every morning on the altar of incense. Read.
When he dresseth the lamps, he shall burn incense upon
He
it.
burns the incense upon it. Read.
And when Aaron lighteth the lamps at
And
even,
he does it at even. Read.
he shall burn incense upon
He
it.
still burns incense. Read.
A perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations.
That thing belonged to Aaron. That was Aaron and his sons' responsibility. Give me chapter 27 and 21.
The book of Exodus chapter 27 and verse 21. And the tabernacle of the congregation without the veil, which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons,
Who?
and his sons,
Aaron and his sons,
shall order it from evening to morning
they order it from evening to morning.
before the Lord.
Uh-huh.
It shall be as a statute forever unto their generations on the behalf of the children of Israel.
So who burned the incense morning and evening upon the altar of incense? Aaron and his sons, yo. That responsibility fell to them. They were the ones who were consecrated for that job. Let's go back to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 26, and let's read verse 16 again.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 26 and verse 16. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction. For he transgressed against the Lord his God, and went into the temple of the Lord to burn incense upon the altar of incense.
Read.
And Azariah the priest went in after him.
And Azariah the priest went in after him. Azariah was the chief priest at this time. Read. Matter of fact, jump down to 20 to show he was the chief priest.
Verse 20. And Azariah the chief priest.
He was the chief priest at this time. Read.
And Azariah the chief priest looked upon him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead.
Remember, he was a leper. Read.
And they thrust him out from thence. Yea, himself hasted also to go out,
He also hasted to get the hell out of there.
because the Lord has smitten him.
And we're about to read why the Lord smote him with leprosy. Jump back up. Read verse 17 again.
Verse 17. And Azariah the priest went in after him,
The chief priest Azariah went in after Uzziah. Read.
and with him 80 priests of the
And
Lord,
with him 80 priests of the Lord. Read.
that were valiant men.
That were what?
That were valiant men.
You know why this is important? Because a lot of you think that the priest of the Lord is supposed to be soft and sensitive and cuddly and kind. That's not what the Bible says about the priest of the Lord. The priests of the Lord are valiant men, courageous men, hero-like men, warlike men, yo. That's what the Bible says about the priest of the Lord. Keep going.
And there withstood Uzziah the king, and said unto him, It
It
pertaineth
appertaineth not unto thee. Meaning it's not for him to burn incense on the altar of incense. Read.
Uzziah to burn incense unto the Lord, but to the priests, the sons of Aaron.
That job belonged to the priest. Aaron and his sons, the sons of Aaron. Read.
They are consecrated to burn incense.
They were the ones who were consecrated to burn the incense on the altar of incense. Read.
Go out of the sanctuary,
Get your ass out the sanctuary.
for thou hast trespassed.
Uh-huh.
Neither shall it be for thy honor from the Lord God.
Read.
Verse 13. Then Uzziah was wroth,
He got angry.
and had a censer in his hand to burn incense. And while he was wroth with the
And
priest,
while he was angry with the priest,
the leprosy even rose up in his forehead
that's when that leprosy began to rise up on him. In his forehead. Read.
before the priest in the house of the Lord,
And the priest saw it as it was growing on his forehead. Read.
from beside the incense altar.
Read.
And Azariah the chief priest and all the priests looked upon him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead.
Damn.
And they thrust him out from thence.
And they threw him out of the temple.
Yea, himself hasted also to go out,
Even he himself hasted to get the hell out the temple. Read.
because the Lord has smitten him.
Because the Lord had smitten him with leprosy. Read.
And Uzziah the king was a leper unto the day of his death.
And he was a leper all the way up until he died. He had to live with that until he died. Read.
And dwelt in a several house being a leper.
Meaning he dwelt in a separated or segregated house. He dwelt alone because he was a leper. Read.
For he was cut off from the house of the Lord.
He was cut off from the house of the Lord.
And Jotham his son was over the king's house,
Uh-huh.
judging the people of the land.
Judging the people of the land. He became his father's viceroy. Read.
Now the rest of the
Jump
acts,
down to 23.
verse 23. So Uzziah slept with his fathers,
He died.
and they buried him with his fathers in the field of the burial which belonged to the kings. For they said, he is a leper, and Jotham his son reigned in his stead.
And Jotham his son reigned in his stead, ruled in his stead. Oh yeah, y'all still keeping track of it. Goddamn, go back to give me 2 Kings 14:29.
Book of 2 Kings chapter 14, verse 29. And Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel. And Zechariah his son reigned in his stead.
That was 29?
Yes.
Read it one more time.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 14, verse 29. And Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel. And Zechariah his son reigned in his stead.
And Zechariah his son reigned in his stead. Zechariah his son became king. Chapter 15 and 8. Let's see how long he ruled.
The book of 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 8. In the 38th year of Azariah, the king of Judah, did Zechariah the son of Jeroboam reign over Israel and Samaria 6 months.
He reigned over Israel and Samaria, but only for 6 months. So, only for 6 months. Read.
And did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord,
And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord,
as his fathers had done.
like his fathers had done. Read.
He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin.
Read.
And
Shalom.
Shalom, the son of Jabesh, conspired against him.
So Shalom, the son of Jabez, conspired against him. He conspired against what was his name? He conspired against Zechariah, the son of Jeroboam. Read.
And smote him before the people,
And killed him before the people.
and slew him,
Uh-huh.
and reigned in his
And
stead.
became king in his stead. Jump down to 12.
Verse 12. This was the word of the Lord, which he spake unto Jehu, saying,
Saying what?
Thy sons shall sit on the throne of Israel unto the 4th generation. And so it came to pass.
That goes back to what we read earlier in 2 Kings chapter 10. Remember, the Lord told Jehu, he said, your sons will rule over Israel for 4 generations, yo. Well, Zechariah, the son of Jeroboam, he was the 4th generation from Jehu. Real talk. Remember, his 4 generations, Jehoash, Joash, which is also Jehoash, Jeroboam, and then Zechariah, yo. And then Zechariah. We're going to end this thing right here, man. Anybody got anything they want to add? We're going to end this thing right here, man. We're going to end this thing in the same way we began this thing. And that's by giving all praises and all glory and all honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, through his only begotten Son, Jesus the Christ. Secondly, we're going to give double honors to our elders again. They rule well. They counted worthy of double honors.
Right.
Again, they get their double honors. Finally, lastly, I want to say to all of my brothers out there, farewell. To all my sisters out there, farewell. My name is Priest Lithiel Ben Israel.
And likewise, my name is Priest Ron Ben Israel. And hopefully you find the class edifying. And if you want to know more about the school and find more information about us, look us up on Facebook as well as on Instagram under Holy Nation of Israel. And when it comes to our YouTube channel or page, look us up at straitgateofisrael. And then when you want to look for me, I'm on Facebook as well as Instagram, Ron Ben Israel. But on Instagram, all lowercase and underscore between the 2 names.
Hey, I'm on Facebook, Lithiel Ben Israel. I'm on IG as well, Lithiel617.
And like when it comes to all our social media platforms, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay updated with us. We drop content mostly every other day, almost every day. With that, Israel, say shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.